Hello, this is Nathan, one of the coaches here at MeetRx with another carnivore success story. Today, our guest is Steffani. So, hello, Steffani. How are you today?
I'm good, Nathan. How are you?
Oh, I'm getting by. So, all right. Well, tell us about your story. What happened? What was your health like before carnivore?
It was very poor. My health was um, uh, not not good. Um, I suffered from a lot of chronic pain and chronic fatigue ever since I was a child. So, like from 10 years old on to it started getting really bad after a repetitive strain injury at 20 and went into full blown pain all over my body by 26.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
I'm 30 now.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. I'm not supposed to ask that question. Yeah. To a lady, anyway.
Oh, that's okay. Um, I was always on like a pretty typical North American diet. I grew up on a hog and grain farm, so not eating wheat was like a sin. And I was always sick. I was always stomach aches, headaches, rashes. I would get rashes all over my body, and then I also grew up with a pretty bad like just knee problems.
Hmm.
That's when I was 10 years old. So I was in and out of physical therapy, um, multiple specialists. I had to give up. I was really into sports, played a lot of hockey, soccer, badminton. Had to give up soccer and badminton just so that I could play hockey, just so I could have some form of adolescent experience. And and yeah, when I had that injury, it was in between my first and second year university, and just came back to my hometown to work as a parks laborer, and ended up with a pretty bad neck and back injury that where all of my discs were literally shrinking um, around my T4 area and then in my neck. So everything that all my the good stuff going to my brain, all the nerves and everything, they were being compressed by my vertebrae. And back to specialists, back to chiropractors, physical therapists, acupuncture, massage therapy, with no avail. And then what kind of set off the the all over pain was getting glucose injections. That was the last specialist I went to, and that's where all the pain went through my entire body. Like I woke up, I got the injections I felt great for 2 hours. I was pain free, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. After that, I had the worst pain in my entire life. Um, a couple mornings later, I woke up. I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk or hold anything. It was like I had barbed wire wrapped around my ankles and wrists. And and then I was pretty much bed bound. Next day, completely different set of symptoms. Um, so then a couple weeks later, I my mind just started to degrade. I couldn't hold a conversation. I My mind didn't even know what simple words were. Like I would be speaking and trying to like say I was going to go for a walk, and I wouldn't remember what the word walk was. And it was because my I was in so much pain all the time that I wasn't sleeping. So I my brain wasn't getting the rest it needed in order to continue on the next day. So I was just living in this pretty much bed bound world inside my home. I couldn't drive, I couldn't work. Nobody really wants to hire somebody that can't get out of bed some days. And it was a lot um, back to more specialists. I was eventually diagnosed with fibromyalgia and was told this was it. That's your life. Bad deck of cards. And was sent to a psychiatrist because a lot of the medications with fibro have to do with like I was put on an antidepressant because they're an off-label use for nerve pain. And then was brought on by more symptoms, of course, from the prescription drugs, and she just kept adding. Like at this point, I was able to get back moving when I was on my first medication, which was great. But then pain was still there a lot, but at least it was manageable enough where I could get out of bed. I could, walk around, do limited activities. I had to limit like maybe 5 minutes a day of activity. And then, but then more drugs. She would add more drugs to treat the symptoms, to treat the side effects. And it killed me. My head was not, I was not in a good mental space. I gained so much weight from the drugs, like just weight and inflammation from all these drugs, and which of course didn't help the pain because can't really move as much. And yeah, it was bad. I gave up so much just to try and keep living. And that was hard. Mm-hmm. I didn't know how to keep going. But I was so desperate for help. This was way above my skill level to treat some form of nerve pain. So I trusted my professionals, the doctors, the specialists. I had no energy to look into an alternative way because it was all I could do just to make it through a day. And so I chose to get off my medication about a year and a half ago because like I was just going to die. Like there was no way about it. I had so much pain, so much fatigue, no hopes of working, no hopes for a future. And my mental headspace was just completely deteriorated due to prescription drugs and my circumstance. Yeah.
That's a perfect last thing to say to ask my next question. How did you hear about the carnivore diet?
Well, it was my husband, actually. He's been through that, like he's been with me through this entire process. And after I got off my medication, all the pain, like it took about 9 months to get off all the prescription drugs, like safely. And then all the pain came back. Like I knew I had pain still during on the drugs, but when I was off them, it was horrible. And, but I chose to live. I chose to adjust my life to just be here. And Kyle, actually, my husband Kyle, he found he listens to a lot of Joe Rogan, and he heard Dr. Baker on Joe Rogan, and then he also heard Michaela Peterson's podcast with Joe Rogan. And of course, being a younger female, I related immensely with Michaela, and like that was my story. That was from such a young age of your body just like I don't have like arthritis, but your body just deteriorating, and along with your mental state. And I actually had to, I guess I didn't mention, but I had to switch. I finally did an allergy test while I was in university, and I was allergic, or I am allergic to wheat. and a lot of other a lot of other items, but wheat seemed to be the culprit. And once I took wheat out of my diet, everything changed. I didn't get headaches. I wasn't ill. I didn't get just odd rashes all over my body at whatever time of day. So when he brought up, like, a few years later, when he just brought up like the food portion, I was like, well, I have nothing left to lose. What if I only have to eat meat for the rest of my life, but am able to, go to birthday parties, like hold a job. I was like, there's really no contest with that, and to still be off prescription medication. So her story really, really spoke to me. So we decided to go for it.
Boy. So was it hard to do? Was it hard, before I ask the next question, was it hard to implement the diet?
It was in one sense. So I lucked out because I have an amazing husband who chose to do it with me as well. So, and there's just the two of us in the household. So there's no temptations. There's no, oh, you can eat that. But I'm also fairly used to it, not being able to eat wheat. I can't eat most things that are out in the real world. But yeah, the first 2 weeks, it was mainly just the withdrawal of sugar was awful. But every step along the way, it got better. So getting after the first 2 weeks, then I felt fine. After the first month, I was 90% pain-free and off of prescription medication. I couldn't believe it. Pretty much all of my anxiety was gone, because there was a lot of anxiety around when a flare-up would happen. Would I be able to get home? Would I be able to walk? I couldn't make plans in my life because of the pain. And to even get 90% pain-free was unreal. 4 months down the road, I was 99% pain-free. And I started actually responding to treatment. Started responding to more chiropractic care to help my back and neck. Was able to go back into physio and do a lot of treatments that I wasn't able to do before because they would cause so much pain. So it was amazing. And once it was so contagious, after that first month, it was just so contagious, to feel better, not only in your body, but I didn't have to sleep. I didn't have to I didn't have to plan out my outside gatherings because I could, leave the house whenever I wanted. I wasn't limited to 5 minutes of activity a day. I wasn't limited to one outing a week. I got to go play hockey again and work a job. I found after when I was better, I was like, I can get back into the workforce, and I landed my dream job. And it was just unreal. And I worked crazy hours before I could even barely do laundry. And now I work probably close to 60 hours a week. And not saying that's a great thing, but but I do what I love, and I don't have restrictions on it because of my body even at such a young age.
Yeah. Wow. Now, what do you think was causing all of that pain?
Food. 100%. Going back, because now we're carnivores throughout the week, and then we're more of a keto style in the weekends, but there's a lot of vegetables that we avoid still. But being able to eliminate everything coming into your body, and then add it back in, you realize how terrible some of these items are for you. Sugar, of course, was a huge one. Um, but the mental effects on food were huge. Like adding in, I think I remember because I love breakfast food. I love pancakes and syrup, and that's definitely a guilty pleasure. So I tried to make like a carnivore-ish, like a keto style pancake with like actual maple syrup. And I was just depressed all day. I was so sad. Um, like I noticed a lot of sugars are very depressing. A lot of vegetables were causing like the headaches, the earaches, um, and inflammation. Holy man. Because, yeah, when you eliminate everything and then you add it back in, you realize the effects of the individual culprits.
Yep. Did you ever get full body itchiness? Because I got that and I thought I had fibromyalgia. So I was
Yeah.
looking up all the symptoms of it and I'm like, I think that may be what it is, right? But then I realized now it was actually just the oxalates from all the fruits and vegetables I was eating.
Oh,
So,
okay. Yeah.
yeah.
My husband wanted to put socks on my hands at night. I would just just scratch my ribs raw, and I'd just be itchy. All like clothes on my skin would hurt, um, just because of all the inflammation and the itchiness going through my body.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like that for me too. And I remember seeing Michaela Peterson's interview, and yeah, she talked about that with her arthritis. It's almost like it's not exactly that, but it's almost like an allergic reaction. Our bodies are reacting to the sugar and the oxalates, the inflammation, almost like, if you eat something you're allergic to, some people will break out in hives, for instance, right?
Yeah.
The depression and the pain and the arthritis, all of those things are just reactions to the terrible foods we're eating. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, how do you feel now?
I feel amazing. I feel better than I have ever felt in my entire life. Um, it's just unreal the mental clarity that you get from being on a strict carnivore diet. The brain function was what I was most surprised about, actually, like actually being able to remember things, not having any brain fog. That was very nice. But I just feel well, and I feel in control of my wellness. It was a huge thing for me. When like dealing with chronic pain and fatigue, you didn't own your life. Your body owned your life, and you never knew what was in your deck of cards the next day or even the next hour. And to be able to take back that control, by limiting what you eat, and being able to make the decision too, like, because I'm not perfect. I'm at the point in my life, or in my diet, I guess I should say, that I can, go off diet a little bit to still, still live, still have birthday cake on my birthday, and um, which was it was still important to me to not be that regimented. But I feel great. I love that I'm able to get back into sports that I used to once enjoy. Being able to work, that was very important to me. Another big thing was when I was at the peak of my pain and fatigue, I pretty much said goodbye to having a family. Um, I didn't I didn't think it was realistic of me to have kids if I couldn't take care of myself. How could I take care of little ones running around, um, and then have to put that on my husband to take care of? So it brought back a future.
That's incredible. Yeah. A lot of people, they think we're the ones missing out on this diet
Yeah.
when, oh man, I just talked to my last interview before this one was a fellow from Germany who has stomach cancer.
Mm.
And he went carnivore, and he's lived like basically almost a year longer than they said he would. And he's doing very well. His cancer is under control and not spreading. So, and it's just, it's incredible the transformations that I've seen doing these interviews, and even my own and my family. So it's just, we got to get this message out there, right? And these success stories are the best way to do that. So,
Oh,
yeah.
yes, because it's it's so hard being in like the chronic area of our medical system. It is not like there's no validation. Um, Nothing. There's so many times that I would describe what was going on with me, and I was either met with like, well, no, that's not true, or how could that be, um, or you're not doing it right. um, and just it was hard, like, and this is what you put your faith into with no avail. And when I asked one of my doctors if I could do an allergy test, and he told me no. He's like, no, it's not the food that's causing this problem. You probably have ulcers. You should go on this medication. And I was like, can we not try other avenues before putting me on a lifetime medication? And so yeah, getting back that control and sharing the word that it's, you should look at what you're putting into your body and how your body responds to it, because we're not all the same. Like a lot of people can take different items over the next person, but that doesn't mean our diet or way of life is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Certain foods do cause different reactions in certain people. I know, I'm much the same as you. Wheat and gluten will kill me if
Yeah.
I relapse on that. It is horrible. And soy too, I've noticed with myself.
Okay.
So, yeah. But some people, they don't have depression and they eat wheat, right? So
Yeah.
it's very different with each person. So, but it's such a shame, like you said about the doctors. They just, I've heard that a lot too. They dismiss it as, oh no, that's not important, or it's just a coincidence, right? It's, all these people get enough medications because of changing their diet. That's not a coincidence. So
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The only people who would be so adamant about keeping people on medications would be people that work for the people that make the medications.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that sounds logical
Yes.
to me. So
And same with the food too. Looking into the food industry, it's kind of the same. It's almost the same realms as the prescription medication industry, and it's sad. Um, we trust on these expertise, and we're kind of led astray.
yeah, that's true. So wow. Have you had anyone who knew you before? This is something I want to know. Anyone who knew you before the way you were with your maximum pain at like the peak of your health problems and knows you now and is like, wow, what have you been doing? And looked into the carnivore diet.
Um, I wouldn't say anybody's looked into the carnivore diet, but every time I see somebody, like even in my family, um, I get that a lot of like, wow, you're standing, like, um, and you're here, and like what you've done. That's been a big one. Is I went from essentially doing, you're not able to do much, not able to work, to working a full-time job, and then like I also run a couple businesses too, and like that would be unheard of before. um my husband's very vocal about my transformation as well, as because he was here. Not a lot of people were here, and I wasn't one to advertise it. um and because yeah, it wasn't awesome to not feel great if you were, and to go out with friends. Like I just stayed home. So to for my husband to see me now, he says he's just unreal. And it's in such a short amount of time too. That's why I'm just like, why not try it? Because you will know, like within a month, if this will change your life. Because I'm such an advocate for it. Try it. And especially for people that are struggling with whatever, weight loss, anxiety, depression, illnesses, chronic pain, chronic fatigue. It's like, if you can find your cure in a month, why not?
Mhm.
And yeah, I've met people that have tried it, whether or not they've actually stuck with it, and they all tell me it works. They all tell me it's great, but then they don't stick with it. So it's
It's
kind of,
tough.
yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's done such amazing things for not only me personally, but my life and my future. Um,
Mhm.
and so it's hard to see people continue to struggle.
It really is. Yeah. When you've dealt with something and you see someone that's got the same thing you used to have, and you're like, I know I could help them, and they
Yeah.
don't want to listen. It's so frustrating. It really
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but having a support system, like you said, your husband's doing it too. My
Hmm.
whole family's doing it. So,
Yeah.
it does help a lot, but it is possible to do without it, because I used to live, I took care of my grandma, and she did not want any part of it. She thought it was silly.
Well, yeah.
And, she grew up in the era where fat and salt were going to kill you, right? And
Yeah.
cholesterol had to be really low or you would die
Yeah.
of a heart attack. So, but I was able to stick to it when we lived together. And guess what? Now she's carnivore too. So,
Oh,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
loving it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's, I think she's off all blood pressure medication now. And she knows how bad statins are for us. She ran into two old friends she'd known for 40 years the other day. And they're like, wow, Jan, you've lost so much weight. What are you doing? And she says, well, I'm keto carnivore now. And of course, they're as big as a house. So they were impressed, right? So yeah, it's awesome to see the transformations in people of all ages. So
Yes.
yeah.
And just, and another thing too was like the body type. So I didn't do it for weight. Um, but I mean, it just goes like it's just going to happen, inevitable when you switch over. But there were so many things about my body, especially as like a teenage girl, that you don't like. Um, and then when I did the diet, and then you almost get like I got like a new body back. Just like, fat in places that you didn't like, that just weren't really there. You can never get rid of unless you ate like celery and ran on a treadmill for hours on end. Um, but no, I just had this very natural, like athletic looking body come back, and no exercise. Like, I'm
Mhm.
not saying like I would like to exercise. I'm getting to the point in my rehabilitation where I can add in more exercise without it being the debilitating. And just with, COVID hasn't been making it that all that fun, because I get to do fun exercises. I get to go like play badminton with my dad. I get to go play hockey with the ladies. I don't have to be in the gym, the 5 days a week, in order to keep my body looking the way I would like it to with my lifestyle, because my diet lifestyle does that for me. And
Mhm.
now I get to enjoy physical activity.
That's awesome.
Hmm.
Wow. I didn't get a chance to see your before and, before versus after pictures before I did the interview, but I look forward to seeing that, because they'll post that on the YouTube video. So,
Oh, okay, yeah.
um, yeah,
I don't really
but
have a good before one, because I
oh,
didn't take any pictures of that time in my life.
I hated pictures before too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but, anyways, thank you very much for sharing your story. And, wow, I'm sure this will help a lot of people who are struggling with the same issues. Um, And yeah, it's great to get your message out there, because I can't imagine how hopeless you must have felt when you were at the peak of your health problems. And now seeing you now, you're clearly doing so much better, right? No one would even guess that you struggled with that before. So,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So,
pretty. I took a chronic pain class to, find a support group. I live in Red Deer, Alberta,
mhm.
Canada. So it's a very small city. So there's not much for a lot of like support that way. You have to go to like the bigger cities. And I looked around the room, and yeah, I'm at that time, I think I was 27, and um, you know, everybody's 40 plus 50 with dealing with these issues, and I was like, what? Like this isn't all that supportive, because I'm like, what's wrong with me? Um, so it's nice. It was very unbelievable to make the change and to get a future back.
That's great, Stephanie. Very inspiring and encouraging. So, yeah, I guess we'll end it there. So, thank you very much for sharing your experience, and we hope to keep tabs with you and carnivore community, and
Yeah,
hopefully, I know, and I always say hopefully, but I know your example will help a lot of people. So,
good.
all right,
That makes me happy.
all right. Have a good night, Stephanie.
Yes, you too, Nathan.